Hello, my divine, infinite human being, Joel, that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome back. We are here with Professor Spira, and we're getting into the second part of this series about healing yourself with a mucus free diet. And we're going to get deep into it, and I'm going to ask him some questions and just kind of discuss a lot of things that I felt, and that maybe you will first, how to get into it, how to start the whole process, and then what are some of the things you might be experiencing with it. And, I just wanted to say, I said on the last broadcast, how much better I feel. And it is challenging. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like everything in life, you have to do it. You have to discipline yourself. You have to make the commitment. But once you do, it can really turn your life around, and especially, your health, because most all of dis-ease is based on, of course, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, but it starts with what you're putting in your body. As Hippocrates said, let thy food be your medicine. Okay. So without further ado, here we have Professor Spira again, and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And do you just want to kind of give us a little overall for some people that might just be tuning in for the first time about the diet and what it does for you, and how to start?
Yeah, so the mucusless diet healing system is a transitional system that helps you transform your body, mind, and spirit through diet, fasting, physical activity, putting all of these things together in a certain way so that you change your physiology on a fundamental level. So, what are mucus forming foods? So, you'll hear me sometimes say pus and mucus forming foods. Pus forming foods denote animal products. And we're talking about the very viscous, concentrated form of slime that dead animal flesh and things like dairy and just rotten foods degrade down into this really viscous slime. And we call that pus. Then mucus is going to be your vegetable-based or plant-based mucuses. So things like the white potatoes are mucus forming, and avocados, which I know now that doesn't mean you can't use them for transition, but fundamentally, one thing you can observe is anytime you're eating a lot of mucus forming foods, when you go to the bathroom, you might notice that you have to wipe. What are you wiping? You're wiping the slimy residue of these foods, because when you do eat 100% mucus free for a period of time, you start to notice like, oh, I don't really have to wipe. There's no residue there when you've cleaned yourself out to a certain level. So mucus diet healing system. It is a rediscovery of humans' natural diet, how we're actually supposed to eat, how we're supposed to live, and it provides insight into why there's so much suffering when we don't abide by these natural laws.
Okay, thank you. That's really wonderful. So, okay, so well, you really have to look at, your shit. I mean, it's really fundamental. So I thought I'd keep this, the second part, because it's key, and let's just tackle it right there. As a proper, lady, but throw that out, because sometimes that's like gets in your way, because what comes out of you, and the difficulty, and so many people are having so much problems, just constipation and gas and bloating, and just the swollen. I'll just say it. I had my intestines were like swollen, and every time I ate, my stomach would start to hurt when it started to move out of my stomach, and then it got to the point where something I'd never had before, but it was like stuff was like sliding out, in different, like glops, it was just so strange. And I know, I think now we have to be ever so vigilant, because even here in Italy, where, in Sicily, I live here because there's produce fresh every season. I mean, right now it's olive, uh, harvest time, and there's always zucchini and eggplant and all this kind of wonderful fruits. And so I thought, wow, I'm going to be so healthy here. But then I looked around; a lot of people were dying, at early ages. And of course, there's pasta, pizza, and pastries. But now they're even starting gluten-free, bakeries here because the glycemics, so it's just our environment's so much more toxic now. A lot of people are experiencing that, just mucus like sliding out of your intestines, when you're going to the bathroom. So, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, that's one of my favorite topics. So I'll warn the folks that can see this. I guess we'll have to describe this. So you were talking about mucoid plaque earlier. So
Oh
I
yeah,
always have pictures
yeah,
of mucoid plaque on hand. So this is the stuff that's inside of the body that's causing so much distress and bloating and pain, and just uh, you can't expect to feel great when you have pounds and pounds of this slimy, uneliminated, fetid, nasty residues. Worms are in there. You got your
yeah.
tapeworms and all your parasites, all this stuff. And
Roundworms, pinworms, everything. And
exactly,
some of it's like black. You said there's like tar
the
black.
black tar type of slime stuff. Yeah, black tar,
Mm.
sludge, all different forms of slime and mucus. And these things over time, when you're eating mucus forming foods, since childhood, you have been cultivating and developing this lining of slime that is never eliminated. If you don't do what we're talking about, or you don't know anything about detox, this stuff just builds up over time, and it causes all manner of constipation and disease. So, Arnold, there at the very beginning of the mucus diet healing system, he says, all disease, no matter what name it is known by medical science, is constipation, a clogging up of the entire pipe system of the human body. We're not just talking about bowel constipation, but cellular constipation. So most people that do not know this, they are cellularly constipated from head to toe. So that means your blood gets filthy, and wouldn't you think, if you have this in the intestines, that's systemically going to make your body filthier and filthier? We have to look at the lymphatic system and the kind of stagnation. There's a relationship between the blood and the lymph that most people don't really understand. But when you are constipated, when you have all of this toxic waste in your body, your lymph system can't flow properly. It's going to get slow down and get stagnant, and it's acid, it's acidic. And so now we're going to start to see damaged cells, that they like to use the word cancer for these things.
Mhm.
And it's this downward spiral from a physical
And then the
standpoint.
liver and the gallbladder, everyone's getting their
Litter,
gallbladder and the
yeah,
pancreas, your
pancreas,
pancreatic cancer, yeah, it's huge.
yeah,
So
and
that's when you're like on death row.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Kidneys, if the kidneys aren't filtering,
Yeah.
the organs of elimination. And then you have a lot of people want to blame when they start having conversations about uh, imbalances, and they always want to uh, blame something on this concept of nutrition. And this is why we say that's a false concept. It's a problematic, paradoxical concept to think, because of like, oh, you're deficient, you're low in something, so
Mhm.
let's give you this synthetic version of this thing and prop you up. What we found is the majority of people's endocrine systems are shot because of the way we live, because we're not designed to live with airplanes and helicopters and all of this, TVs and cell phones. Like, that's messing up our nervous system and all the stuff that you talk about too. Because I don't even get into all that stuff, because just without the nefarious part, just our environment, it taxes our adrenal glands, and you
Mhm.
end up at a point where the way we live and eat, because you eat all this high protein and the meat and all that stuff, that's taxing your adrenal gland. People have a compromised thyroids, and they're like, "Oh, I'm fatigued. I can't get up." So instead of trying to, what they want to do in the medical world is let's feed it with stuff, with whatever. Let's supplement and get your vitamins and this and that. And it kind of, what we found is, if you actually heal the endocrine system, then you will heal your whole body. That you, without any supplementation, without that whole concept. So
I wanted to ask also about the mental aspect, because I noticed you had a video on what your gut and everything is affecting, many kinds of mental illnesses that the psychiatrists are giving you more, toxic drugs to like balance your moods, and, Xanax and Depakote, and,
yeah.
I can go on and on.
And those are some of the worst medications on the planet. Like, just
I know.
the things that the psychiatrists give to people. It's really sad to me. Like, it's because that stuff is not necessary, and that can really put you. It's hard to detox that stuff out, and it is hard to. It can be hard to it's possible, but it can be. There's a lot of work that has to be done to rewire your brain after they've uh, hit you with that stuff. But yeah, the body. If you look at the intestines, look at the brain, it's like there's a relationship there. There's something that they don't look at it like that. But most people's decisions, they're making decisions based on the brain in their stomach region, their
Well, I've
intestines.
actually seen that, the parasites, because, it's full of parasites, all that mucoid plaque, it's a breeding ground, and they can actually attach themselves to the vagus nerve and like send signals like, eat that, sugar donut now, we need it. They're like controlling, your cravings, they're sending messages, feed us.
Yeah, yeah.
Feed us
I mean,
anymore.
it's we like to say the most revolutionary thing that you can do is learn how to control what you put into your body, because when you do that, then you have the autonomy. You take back control. When you don't, it's like you said, all the little critters, I mean, you're open to anything. You're open. You're weak enough. You could have entities enter you and take over. You can have the TV take you over. Like, you are an open vessel to be dominated
Yeah,
and controlled when you're not clean.
exactly.
So
Yes.
if you want to be immune, if you want to have total autonomy and freedom, and I've coined the term physiological freedom, physiological liberation,
Mm.
that this is our liberation movement. Because if we can get this together, if we can get the physical part together, it leads to the rest. Because
Mm.
generally, this is the part that people don't have. They'll have other pieces, and whatever they're into, their spiritual practices and their
Exactly. Yeah.
meditative practices. But when you don't have this at the foundation, those things will be compromised, and there's always going to be a limit. But once you unlock this, then it's limitless. You can
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I just want that's so powerful what he said, and I want to say it again because we talked about it in the first episode. But everyone's doing like all these kind of activations and shielding themselves and cleaning their auras and all that. But I mean, you're just leaving the door wide open. If you're filled full of parasites and gunk and pus and all that low frequency stuff, there's no way you're going to get up into the higher, frequencies, whatever the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, the higher dimensions, when your physical vehicle is being commanded and being a slave to these toxic foods and environments. And you got to purge them, you got to detox them to be sovereign, to be God sovereign free. So thank you for saying that. um now, okay, so I just want to say, and I've been doing, I used to actually do coffee enemas all the time, but enemas are part of it, the lemon juice enemas, which I've been doing that, it actually were very painful because I had so much trouble getting all the elimination out,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
and I was surprised because I had done enemas before and I hadn't had that problem, but, so you want to talk a little bit about how that's really important and why, and what is it doing?
Yeah, the lemon juice and distilled water enemas, that I mean, those are a total game changer. And that's one of the things that me and my community and Brother Air and Victor Buttram brought to the table and augmented the practice of the mucusless diet. Because in the mucusless diet, Arnold Era talks about water enemas and the importance of those. But our community started experimenting with adding lemon juice to it back in the 70s, and that's a total game changer because now you have the astringent property of the lemons. You can use limes, but they're not as potent in my opinion. But the lemons is my favorite, and that astringency, it really is a game changer because it's going into your colon. If you can just imagine all of this slime and waste and that stuff, that because a lot of people think that they do like a couple days of cleansing and then they're clean. No, like we have generations of filth that we have to deal with. There's generations of improper eating and the accumulation of waste that's been passed down to us. So that's why we like to look at this as a lifestyle, or this is going to take a while. But the lemon juice and distilled water enemas, they kill the parasites. So that lemon, you put that lemon up in you, all those little parasites, all that stuff that's in there, that's going to help kill those and flush those out. Because anytime that you have a craving for a particular food item, especially if it's like a pus and mucus forming food item, you are having a craving for poison. And when you really sit and think about that, that's like, why would I crave poison? Well, then we're addicted to something that we shouldn't be. And the lemon enema is such a great tool to neutralize the poisons that are connected to that addiction. So it helps break that. So if you're craving a steak, you're craving a cheeseburger, you're not really craving a burger, you're craving the stimulation from that drug, from that piece of poison. But once you break that connection and you detox your body of the poisonous residues from that thing, you're liberated from it. You don't want they don't want it. People often ask me over the years, I'll get things like, don't you miss eating burgers? Don't you miss pizza and meat? Like I could never stop eating meat and all these kinds of things. And I'm saying, well, no, I don't miss those things because I don't miss drinking bleach because bleach isn't something that I regard as food. It's poison. And that's the type of relationship that you get to foods that you're not supposed to eat. So yeah, the lemon juice enemas, yeah, I can't say enough good
Well,
things about
I
those.
have to agree, and I've been doing them for I guess about 2 months now. But gosh, I mean, I moved to Sicily, and they had the most incredible desserts. You just walk in, and
Mm,
they make them all, and oh, every day, like I'd have my little cappuccino, my little cassata or whatever. It was just
mm.
great. I mean, I lived for that, and it's so weird. Like today, I walked in to the cafe I always go to, and it's like I didn't. I mean, I looked at him. I enjoyed looking at him. The little inner child. I noticed she did this inner child video with nice cream, because your inner child, like especially if you have a hurt one, you kind of feed yourself to nurture yourself. But
Hmm.
it was like they didn't have the hold on me, and that was so wonderful. But I wanted to ask you something now because I feel like I'm kind of moving toward another level because I actually did do. There was a time when I did. I was prescribed drugs and I took them and I knew better, but I was just, I just lost my twin soul. Everyone goes through that, and I was like, I wanted to die. So I was just okay, fine. And I had a really bad fatty liver. I gained so much weight, and I feel like I'm kind of. And everyone says, oh, keto for fatty liver, but what do you think about this? There's a doctor that's really big on that. So,
Right.
yeah. So, could you tell me what is this doing? And for me, of course, now I'm starting to feel a lot of pain in it, but I'm actually doing the lemon juice enemas and drinking a lot of lemon juice and other thing with this diet, and I'm taking a lot of herbs, the milk thistle
Hmm.
and stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, do you think this is a cure for everything for fatty liver too? And what is there a phase that you go through as you start to get all the fat from your toxic liver?
Yeah.
It's gonna is it
So
normal to?
what? Yeah, one of the things that's really fascinating about the mucusless diet is whatever your weakness is. Arnold Ehret has a whole section. He talks about latent disease that is in you but hasn't presented itself yet. And when you
Yeah.
start to practice a mucusless diet, whatever your latent diseases are, whatever
Mhm.
your weaknesses are, it presents itself. So for some people, it's a liver. Other people, it might be their endocrine glands. It might be a
Mhm.
thyroid or
Mhm.
uh, adrenal glands. For somebody else, it might be their kidneys. They have weak kidneys. They might have had a parent that succumbed to kidney failure, and so they have a weakness there. We call that genetic weaknesses, which is it's different from the way they use genetic concepts within the medical sphere. But if when you have a weakness, the mucusless diet, when you and in terms of the system, when you're applying the system, you're doing short-term fasting, you're getting the enemas in, you're changing your diet, whatever is weak is going to become known to you. And so
Like a healing crisis. It's going to be purging. So you might think you're getting sick, but you're not getting sick. It's almost like people call them ascension symptoms, because it's maybe even karmic patterns that are past and future lifetimes that one area is your hot
yeah,
spot. So you think, oh no, I'm getting sick. I better stop. But you need to keep going, maybe back up
yeah,
a little bit,
one of the
right?
most powerful statements in the mucus diet healing system that Arnold Ehret says is that when you're doing this, he's particularly talking about fasting, but the whole diet. But when you're walking this path, you are on nature's operating table. So, and so when you think about if you were to go into a surgery, and so there's some surgeries that take months to recover from. You go in and they give you pills, and that's accepted in society. But when you say, oh, I need to take a couple months off and I'm going to heal myself naturally, I'm going to lay on Mother Nature's operating table and get myself together, there's a stigma there. People don't understand that, but that's what's happening. So but that's also why one of the only people I know of in the world in our community that really emphasizes transition dieting and understanding the transitional methodology, because what happens to some people is they try to skip over the transition. So they try to do excessive fasting, 100% mucus free, 100% raw, 100% fruit or whatever, and or long juice fasting without any transitional techniques, and they'll feel good for a while, but it brings on those latent illnesses and those weaknesses far too quick for them to be
Mhm,
able to
mhm.
actually deal with. So they ultimately get into a place where they're really not having a good time, and because they
And
don't
I just want to
understand their
say something
parent.
to that to
Mhm.
our listening audience, because I believe that the first book Peter and I wrote was Be a Vegetarian. The second book I said, your body, you need to really listen to your body, because now we're in very high ascension frequencies, and sometimes they're so powerful you just can't go do exactly what you want at the same time, because you're purging so much so fast. So I had to go really, really slow, because I'll actually just sometimes feel like I'm going to pass out. I've been drinking, I just have water all the time in my hand. I have to. And, I used to, fasting used to never be a problem for me, but just with these ascension things, I can't do fasting so much. I'm starting to feel like I can do a little bit more now. I always do half a day fast, I do intermittent fasting. But, I think I'm hoping you get on the other side of it to the point where you've gotten the really heavy toxic stuff out, so you can go more of the just like ongoing fasting and eating a lot lighter in terms of the fruits and vegetables. Is that true?
Yeah, there's a huge difference. Most people don't know this because this is the long-term practice dynamics. And there's a difference between somebody that's doing a fast right at, in the first couple years of practicing this lifestyle and fasting 20 years into it or 30 years. There's a whole different physiology and it's a whole different kind of thing that's happening when with those different fasting. Most people, when they start off, they find it easy to fast at first because you're really running off of your old stimulant that's in your body. So you're like, oh man, it's so easy to fast. I feel great. You're running off of your old, we call it, old chicken energy. It's like it's just as your body is trying to burn off its old waste, you can be stimulated and kind of feel like, okay, I feel pretty good. But then you get to a point where that stimulant is gone. You've eliminated the stimulant from your body, and your body is learning to adapt to really truly running off of oxygen and air and getting the stimulant that it needs from fruit sugar, getting the cleansing that it needs from the vegetables. And so that's a process. That's what takes time. And that takes patience and takes that just sticking to the transition and because you don't want to let yourself get to the point where you're feeling too fatigued or faint or that kind of stuff. You want to make sure to be eating enough along with the transition to make sure that you're moving forward. And so I find that when I work with people, sometimes I have to tell them to eat more because they're not eating enough. It's like, no, you need to eat more. We're going to remove a lot of the worst mucus formers, but you want to have enough food to be satiated and things that are going to move through you and continually cleanse your body.
But it's funny because it's kind of different for me because I'm really attuning to the frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in about 2 years ago, I think I was around this area in the Yucatan where they hadn't put the towers in yet,
Mm-hmm.
you could say high five, OG, yet. And, and I was sweating all the time. It was really hot. So that helps a lot because I'm, if I sweat and I was like just running around on coconut water and papayas. And that's all I ate for like a week. And I looked down and I didn't even know I had lost like all this weight, and because it was just so easy because I was kind of like surfing with those frequencies and I was busy and I was doing stuff, and, as opposed to if you're in areas where they're throwing all this stuff at you, I just couldn't, I would be getting ill when I was eliminating there was too many toxins, I think. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people have to be really sensitive to right now with the energies going so up and down and the wars that we're in with all the stuff there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, and the environment that's an important element. One thing that we've done is I think we were put into a location in a place where we could prove this could be done from anywhere, where you can do it even in the most toxic, nasty. Because I'm from Cincinnati, so I talk nasty about Cincinnati. I live in Columbus, Ohio, but Cincinnati is just a real filthy place, just a toxic environment.
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm getting ready to go back there in 2 weeks. And I have to sit in an infrared sauna every day. I just can't stand it. I mean, I get off the plane. I'm like, oh my god, how do you guys even walk? In this place. Kudos to you.
The industrial. Yeah, because Cincinnati's got similarities to Louisville. It's that industrial.
It's like, well, it's kind of the greater, the airports there and everything.
So we.
So, you know what? Let me just stop here a minute. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
And we're back. So, okay, so we're talking about how the environment influences you. It's a huge thing, but also the frequencies of the places you are. And I'm sorry, you were saying something right before we took the break. Can you finish up with that? And then I have another question.
Well, just that lived in environments, whether urban environments or suburban or wherever, that in the Midwest, where it's not perfect equator based
Yeah.
weather, we're not in the best environment, but we could still practice this lifestyle at a high level. And I think because what was interesting about the Cincinnati area, it was interesting that was the place where so much of this physiological consciousness was coming out of all the different places around the world and around. It was a community of people in Cincinnati that was practicing this lifestyle. And so I've found that at the certain level, when you're talking your basics is getting yourself clean, that can be done wherever you're at. Now, when you
So,
start
yay, Cincinnati! But by the
yeah,
way, I'm gonna be there November 23rd. I will be in Cincinnati at the Body, Mind, and Spirit
okay,
Expo.
they got an
So
expo going.
I'll be giving a talk at 5 o'clock. So if you're listening to this, please migrate there. And do you go there very much? Do you ever go to the Body, Mind, and Spirits or anything like that? The
I think
expo?
I wonder if that's the one. There were years ago, like 2006 or 7. That was a psychic festival, but we were
Yeah, it's
invited
kind
to
of the
come.
same thing. It's psychic, the
Yeah,
health,
yeah, we were
Yeah.
invited, and we set up a booth, and we had
At
our
Sharonsville, the expo.
Sharonville
Yeah,
Convention
yeah.
Center. Yeah,
Oh,
because that's where I went to high school across from that.
wow. Well, I'll be there. I
it's
can't
a
believe it.
different
I'll be there
building
from
now, but
Italy. Yeah.
yeah. That's where I grew up. That's the part of Cincinnati where I grew up, because Springdale is right next to Sharonville. So
Oh, well, come
that's
out
where
and
I
say
grew up.
hi if you're in the
Coming
area.
around, yeah.
Yeah, you would be perfect there. I could just see your booth there already. I must have been tapping into the old past.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, Cincinnati. Okay, so um, all right. Well, let's get
Well,
into it.
and to finalize but
Yeah.
so wherever you start at, it is good to have a plan to move to someplace better, to migrate. We're
Yeah.
all our ancestors. We're all migrationists. We're all nomads. So to
Mm,
be able to have that mentality, because I like the nomad life. When I have a
mm,
van, I like having a place to go back to. So I'm not. So I have
mm.
the sticks and bricks, but I love jumping in my van and just going wherever, like just no plan.
Yeah.
No, I'll just go, and I tend to find myself going down to Florida, and I'll just explore, looking
Mm.
for it. I found a fruit stand that was in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it had the best fruit down in Florida. And I was
Oh my
just
God!
like,
When I was from Sarasota at another body, psychic fair, the Amish fed me. I mean, if it hadn't been for the Amish, I don't know what would have happened to me. I mean, they had the produce stands that were so good; they grew it
yeah,
themselves. But yeah, I think we're all being called to certain places, on the planet
hmm
right now. There's just certain places that resonate with us. I'm kind of here and there, both sides of the
hmm
Atlantic. But I just want to say you're a very wonderful example of even if you're in a toxic environment, just looking at you. I mean, you showed the before and after pictures in the last episode, but you just look the radiant health, you just exude it, just your skin glows and your aura, is just vibrant. And I know I'm describing that because for our listeners, but he really does that. And I did that with Amaso too, who was on she was up in North Carolina during that whole, geoengineered
hmm
hurricane from hell. But she's a vegan, and you just look into her eyes, you look at her skin, she's just, and it's I think it's the fountain of maternal youth, because I really believe we are turning back the clock now, and we don't have to get diseased and decay and decrepit and die,
right.
we're shifting that. So do you want to get into just the mechanics of, like, let's talk about what we're eating? And I know you're not, you start out the transition diet, so you're not like a total fruitarian or raw or anything like that. You have a nice balance there. So the
hmm
question is, what's a diet? Let's talk about
Yeah.
exactly how people can start besides
Yeah,
just
yeah.
getting the,
Yeah.
of course, you want to
So
get the
that
book
yeah, you
and
get the book.
right. Yeah.
And then the next thing is you go to the store. And because there's basically, it's like read the book, you get the information, then you have choices to make when you go to the store or wherever it is that you buy your food. And you go to the produce section, ignore the other sections, go to the produce section, and you start to fill your cart up with fruits and vegetables. And for me, I encourage people to treat it like a journey. You're going on a journey to explore the different foods. Because for one thing, when people are worried about variety, there's way more variety in the fruit and plant kingdom than there is of of the meat that people eat. People eat meat, a few different types of meat, but there are like 30,000 different whatever species of fruits and vegetables and things that are available to us. So you want to have fun with it. If you're really serious and whenever you're ready to do this, you can go into your kitchen or your pantry with a garbage bag and just start throwing everything away that's there, all the old processed stuff and your old cereal and whatever milk and whatever crap is in there. Throw all that away, have a clean slate, go and then fill your refrigerator up with fruits and vegetables. And then you learn some of we call them mucus lean, or there's a handful of mucus forming food items that are recommended to use along the way. So when I started, I was using, which I don't always recommend today because there's better options now. Some of the stuff I used 22 years ago, they didn't have the options there's now that they have today. So I used organic whole wheat spaghetti with big things of vegetables and big raw salads. Anytime I eat some kind of mucus, I'd always have a big salad. But that helped me get off of meat when I was still having cravings for meat. So I was having these big things of the wheat spaghetti with all that. Nowadays, I would recommend people get in. There's some gluten-free options like the red lentil pasta, vegetable pastas and stuff like that. The whole purpose, it's not for nutritional value. It's to help you ease off of the mucus-forming foods, because cravings for certain mucus-forming foods are real. So there's a time and a place to have. It's better to have a little bit of mucus than to try to be perfect and ultimately have a relapse where you have this uncontrollable craving for whatever, and then you fall off the wagon and you go and eat a bunch of stuff that you lose control. For me, the name of the game is maintaining that control. So in terms of when you're getting into fasting periods, when you're getting into different periods of eating, the more control that you can maintain, that is really the goal, in my opinion. Because I work with a lot of people that they'll get into these long fasts, and that's great, but then they fast for too long and they lose control. So they don't break their fast eloquently. They end up breaking it, and within hours or days, they're back to eating mucus-forming foods. So if you do a long fast, you want to eat 100% mucus-free. When you break it, you want to be mucus-free for a percentage of time based on how long you were fasting. And so those are the kinds of things that you learn when you're on this path. And that's I call practicing this diet an art form. So that's the art of the transition, the art of fasting. Because as an artist, you know that it takes learning and developing the skills and the craft a little bit every day, whether it's a musical instrument or it's whatever it is. You unlock more and more of those abilities and more of that understanding day after day. And that is, for me, what the mucus diet healing system is about, as an art form. And you had to give yourself to it. You really have to surrender to it and just like, all right, let's go on this journey. And it's going to reveal so much to you when you get on the path. There was points.
Well, let me talk to you about my journey for a minute, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm on this journey with you.
Yes.
And Okay, I did the same thing. I threw everything out, and instantly they don't have garbage disposals. Oh my
Mm,
god, it's horrible because you all this fruit and veggies, cutting them up and stuff. But yeah, I started doing this. Talked about the broom salads, so I got into that, and then the smoothies, so I'd like start the day with a smoothie and then try to do the broom salad later on,
mm,
and I was able to do a lot, and it got rid of a lot of mucus the first couple of weeks. But then yeah, I needed to get more. Well, I know you say you don't need as much protein, but I really felt like I needed a lot more protein, and so it took me a while, but I kind of learned, got, because they don't have anything here, they don't have any, I'm out in the country, and
mm.
but they have good produce, but they don't have alternatives, so I got like the chai seeds and the hemp seeds and that kind of stuff and added it to this. And then I started the legumes, which has helped me a lot to give me some more food. But I missed this. I signed up for the 6 day thing, but I didn't get in it because I was busy with something else. So is that something you can always do? Because
Yeah, if you signed up for that, that's there. Yeah, so you can log into that
oh,
and
you
do
can go
that.
in and do it another time. Okay.
Mhm.
But I mean, I noticed I noticed a big shift. But one of the things that happened to me, it just happened to me once and then I got over it. But I think I heard you talk about it, or Aaron, the other guy who, I guess your friend, who works with you, said something like you'll start craving what like your favorite thing, because I
Mhm.
was out there one day and I was doing the broom salads, I was doing the smoothies, for a couple of days, and all of a sudden I just started feeling dizzy or anything, and I had to pull over. And I mean, of course, there's no McDonald's and all that crap here, thank God, but they have cafes, and so
Mhm.
I had a pizza with cheese on it, and then I had a pastry or something, it just woofed it down. I was like, oh God. And then it was like it went away and I didn't have it anymore. But is that something? Is that just weird? Or
Yeah, I mean that's all. I have a whole, so in my it's not in the I don't think it's in the one you had. Maybe it is in there, but I have a whole in my bigger e-course. I have a whole section on addiction and eating mucus free and the mucusless diet,
mm,
and we get into that where we're some of the only people that really talk about relapses and in this plant-based arena, the
yeah.
reality of relapses, that it's going to happen. I don't know anybody that didn't have any kind of relapse. The question is, what do you do when it happens? How can you prevent it from happening if you do understand that, or and make it so that it's less tragic, or that it's not tragic at all? And so that story that you told, that's very typical of people. At some point you're going along, everything feels great, and then all of a sudden it's as because anytime whenever you're removing certain residues out of your body,
Mm.
that's also, it really can tell you that now you know what you're eliminating, because all of a sudden you have craving for
But I mean,
something.
I did it and then it went away and then I haven't had it since. So I mean, I guess if you do it, you just don't make a big deal out of it. Just do it and then okay, I relapsed and
Yeah, and that's where the lemon juice enemas come in and are very important, because
they are.
they can help where, oh, you have a relapse, you eat some stuff, but as Brother Air calls that, the forgiving factor. It's like a forgiveness tool where you can
Now,
go in there and it's like, okay, at least clear yourself out, because when you
that's
don't
good.
have that tool,
It's
but
hard for me to do that. But let me ask you a question, because once, I don't know if it's true, but I went to this doctor and she diagnosed me with ovarian cancer, and I was like, what? And I don't know if it was real or what, but I researched this German Gershwa, and she talked about if you have anything, you can get rid of it. They work with
you
really
mean Gerson? You're talking
Gerson,
about the
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
Gerson
yeah,
therapy.
Gerson
Yeah,
diet.
yeah,
So I did the coffee enemas for the liver, and then the green juice pressed, fresh pressed, green
yeah.
juices
Hmm.
for like so many days, and then I went to the doctor. They said you don't have any cancer. I don't know, whatever. But how do you? I wanted to ask you your opinion of the coffee versus the lemon juice enemas.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of the coffee enemas, because the lemon enemas can do the same thing. When you get into the lemon juice and distilled water enemas, they're gonna flush your liver, your whole system in that same type of way. What I don't like about the coffee is it's overstimulating those glands, the liver. So it wants it, because I don't like those liver flushes that people do with all the drinking the oil and all that stuff, and I'm not a fan
Oh
of.
yeah, 'cause I used to do that all the time. Yeah, you're talking about the liver flush.
Yeah,
It is very
I
intense.
just I don't I find, because then it's like if you're drinking oil and then people get out like the little green, it's like, okay, well, is that
Yeah.
from the oil or is that from the what I found doing lemon juice and distilled water enemas? I would get those little things out from that, and I'm not drinking oil, and I'm not, and I'm
So you
pretty
know
mucus
the
free.
real
Yeah, so I was
thing.
like, I know that this is, and that was years ago. I haven't had that stuff come out of me in a long time. That's years and years ago. Because a lot of that stuff, once you clear it out, the more, yeah, a lot of that more chronic stuff or that initial stuff, you get that out of there and it's gone. But yeah, I don't like, because what happens with the coffee and just coffee in general, trying to get people off of coffee and that as a drug, uh, it taxes the adrenal glands like really, really bad. And that's why you have people that get so addicted to coffee where they feel like they can't function if they don't have their coffee, or they don't get
I
their
live in Italy,
caffeine.
so
What's that?
I live in Italy, so it's espresso
Yeah,
every
yeah,
5 minutes. But I just
yeah,
want to say,
yeah.
one of my loyal followers, Hope Spring High. She said she got hit by something and she ate 10,000 oranges afterwards. She couldn't stop it, and I mean, I just think that's testimony to I love what you said. You said nature surgery or something, like you give your nature's so
Yeah,
healing.
nature's operating table.
Nature's
Yeah.
operating table. That's cool. I got to remember that. That's cool. Okay, so we're on the last 10 minutes now. I see. So, just to wrap this up, and make sure, what do you say to someone that's listening to this and they're going, oh my God, I got all these parasites, I got all this mucoid plaque, oh my God, you're right. I feel tired of it. And that's another thing. I'm starting to finally get my energy back. I mean, I was so tired all the time. So
Mhm.
I guess, reach out to you, go to your
Yeah,
website.
yeah, and we do. I have a coaching program. It's not, you can't find it online. That's something where we would have like a discovery call and see if we're the right fit and that kind of stuff. If that's something that you're interested in, you can send us something on mucus-freelife.com. We have a contact section, so you could send us a direct message there, and we could hook something up. But yeah, I mean, all the resources. We got the e-courses, the books, bunch of content on there. We have our mucus free social. When you do join the coaching program, or if you enroll in the Mucus Diet Healing System e-course, our bigger course, we have our own private social media platform that's not Facebook, where it's our own little private space. And that's where we get in there and talk about our experiences and connect, and just a really beautiful community there. And so those are things that we're building behind the scenes, and just really trying to
So
create
you're
an
not by
environment.
yourself. You're not by yourself out there doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you're not by yourself, because a lot of, creating that support mechanism, the accountability mechanisms, and it just makes it easier. It makes it more fun to practice this, because I am the type of person where I'm a little bit more lonerish than a lot of, I guess, the average person. I can function by myself for quite a long time, and I'm not going to change what I'm doing. My motivation is on point, but I notice some people are not like that. They need this. They really, really need. Like, I like the support of other people, but some people truly need that, where they're not going to be able to be successful if they don't have that connection. We talk about the plugging in, being able to plug into the energy and have the support, and connecting with it. We have a Wednesday, it's a free Wednesday meetup every Wednesday, where people from all over the world come into Zoom, and we just have conversations, and people are able to talk with the elders that have practiced the diet for 40, 50 years. I'm on there, other members of the community, and it's just a place where we just get in there, talk about creating our reality, you know, talking about the things that are interesting to us. And so,
Beautiful.
yeah,
And I just want to say something to everyone listening because part of my whole new, focus now is not just becoming an infinite human, ascending to the higher frequencies, but co-creating the new earth together. And a lot of people have been feeling very isolated. And there's a reason for that. I think you're alone because you need to realize, we're all one, and you're going inward and you're just detoxing all the stuff from yourself so you can be in these higher frequencies so we don't come together like all mangled and codependent and pussy
right.
and so, but I do believe that if you want to get on this new earth, if you want to be part of these communities that are coming, I mean, they can even be right where you are, but it's not going to be a place, people are talking about growing their own food and this and that, but you just can't be killing, your friends for food. You can't be, bringing this cult of death, and you're going to have to be eating high frequency foods to be and to come together with those kind of people. Those are the kind of, that's my high vibe
Yeah.
tribe. So, prepare yourself
Yeah.
now. It's a time to prepare yourself, I think. So
Yeah. No, my projection for the future that not everybody likes, but what I see is humanity, the separation from those that are on this path and this level of consciousness, and those that go in the direction of, if you've ever seen any of those TV shows, the gluttony TV shows, the man versus food, and where they're being paid to stuff themselves and kill themselves, and everybody cheers and claps on. That there's going to be a whole area of humanity that goes down that rabbit hole, which leads to death, which leads to deeper, more chronic illnesses, things that we haven't even seen yet. That's insane. And the age of death just keeps getting lower over there. But over here, we're going to have built a whole other reality, a whole that has nothing to do. I mean, we can kind of look over at them like, if you want that, like, it's like, if you want that, but we're going to be over here creating the life culture that will outlive, because whatever they're doing. Because see, people think I like to look at, whatever people, however you view history and entities, but it appears that there are other hominids that didn't make it. Now, why did it? Because there's this whole movement, the carnivore movement. People want to be like their Neanderthal cousins, which makes absolutely no sense because they didn't make it. They died. They're extinct.
And here it is right out of everyone is getting it. It's a frequency, it's energy. You said it in your words. And, I work a lot with the Christic colonic science, Ashia Dean, and she actually talks about us having we fell. Neanderthal was not a real timeline. And we were breatharians at that time. We were breatharians. We didn't even have the digestive tract, which is why it causes us so much problems. And we did it, we talked about at the beginning of this episode, the last episode, and we had another a whole episode about the two timelines. Some people call it 3D and 5D, and I call it the KRYSTALA, the Christic, the true life spiral, or the Fibonacci, not chi, not life force spiral. And that spiral, the old earth, the finite earth, you do not want to stay on it because it is actually going to fall. I mean, they are it's like
it is going quicker. It's like you can watch it,
and you don't want to go where they're going. It's not just death, it's death of your soul. It's space dust. You don't want to do that. So and I think everyone's feeling this, so you might as well get on earlier than sooner, but pace yourself. I would say, don't go out and fast,
and that's why because we get into those kind of conversations. I mean, there's members of the community, they aspire to, as we say, stop eating. That's really controversial. Breatharianism. My band, we started with a band called the Breatharian Ensemble. That's how I came into the world with the Mucusless diet, introducing things where it was a group of people that actually practiced Mucusless diet, an all vegetarian band. But we'll get into these kind of conversations as to what what were humans? What are we really? And we get into that kind of because it's like all the things in our reality are shadows of what once was,
Yeah.
things that we were capable of doing before we degenerated. So something like a telephone, we didn't need that. We could communicate with whoever we wanted,
And
whenever we
our
wanted,
divine
wherever they were.
technology. Yes. Yeah.
And just all these kinds of things. The traveling, different kinds of uh, just so much that we lost,
Yeah.
and
And we're
we're
getting it back. But the
we're
first step
getting
is
the
to
first
change
step.
it, change it
Yeah,
from inside yourself
got
first.
it, got to, and
Yeah.
we talk about all the yoga practices, all this kind of stuff, and the concept of a time before the more of the circulation humans, the Gumby, like where because some people believe that a lot of the ancient yoga, like half the physical yoga practices, were an effort to try to get back to that
Yep.
supreme flexibility that we
Yoga
once
means
had.
yoking yourself to the divine, to God. So yeah, that's what it really is about, not physical exercises. But okay, we're out of time. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. I had such a just a joyous, wonderful, informative, inspiring, enlightening conversation. And you'll have to come back. Thank you so much. And well, I'll just say this. You see it for a minute because I want to talk to you. If you do want to come to Cincinnati, I'd love to see you. I actually have a booth there. But let me say goodbye to you guys and stand just for a second. Let me wrap up with you. And thank you so much for joining. Ciao for now.